I don't know about you guys, but personally, I'm a huge fan of sports commentary talk shows, particularly the debate shows. Now, it's no secret that a lot of the topics and the conversations had on these shows are a little outlandish, a little exaggerated, a little just straight up trash, to be honest. You know, this whole industry revolves around hot takes about the latest shit that's going on in the sports world. And with hot takes usually comes a lot of mind-numbing, brain rot type conversations. But today is not a story about sports. This is a story of betrayal, the likes that we have never seen before. This is the story of a man who threw his brother in arms completely under the bus in the heat of the moment when he needed him most. Now, this is a bit of an oldie, but it's a good one.
It's going to be the third option.
They're the only team that can pay him, and they're a desperate
But he's not going to be...
I'm sorry about the poor quality, but this is the only surviving clip of this incident that I could even find. Obviously, the network is trying to scrub any remains of this incident on the internet that still lingers. But this is legitimately one of the funniest things I've seen on live TV in a minute. You see, this comes from one of my favorite sports talk shows out there, First Things First. I actually really prefer this show to First Take these days. Obviously, ESPN First Take used to be the go-to, but it's gotten stale over the years. It's pretty much just Stephen A. carrying the whole fucking network on his back. And really, the show hasn't been the same over on First Take since Max left. But these guys over on Fox are pretty solid. They have great chemistry together, and some of their takes are retarded, of course, but that just makes it more entertaining. And you'll find bad takes on every good sports talk show. But anyways, it was a normal fall afternoon on set, and the group was discussing James Harden's trade to the Clippers. You see, a lot of people thought that this trade wasn't a very smart move by Harden requesting it, because James Harden is often criticized for being somewhat of a selfish player who's really more concerned with their own stats and being involved in the offense. And so by going to the Clippers, he was choosing to go to a team where he would end up being the third option and inevitably probably get a reduction in his sort of involvement with the offense. And this is what Chris Brousard is arguing. You see, he just doesn't think this is a very smart move for Harden.
It's going to be the third option.
They're the only team that can pay him, and they're a desperate
But he's not going to be... You think he thinks he's going to play like he did
I think he's not going to get to play the way he wants, and he's going to move, but it's not going to work well.
Nick, is the man retarded? I mean,
you see, the internet may not be the Wild West anymore, but things are still very anal over in the television world. Everyone knows that most naughty words don't really fly on television. For some reason, they can show like gore and horror and all sorts of different movies that contain these kinds of things. But for whatever reason, your typical live television show can't ever really have any bad words worse than ass or shit. So by saying the retard word live on air, Chris Brousard really just dug himself into a hole with the executives. It feels great though to hear somebody on TV just actually be so genuine and actually authentically say what's on their mind for once. Like, I find it so funny that James Harden wilding out with this trade is what pushed Brew to the limit where he just had to let it rip. But that's not even the crazy part. You see, you thought this video was about Brousard. Oh, no. The real devious bastard of this video is Nick Wright. You see, him and Brousard go way back, but Nick recognized in the moment the mistake Brew had just made, and he was not going to go down with the ship. He immediately threw him under the bus. Like, harder than I've ever seen anybody ever throw their friend under the bus. He was not messing around. He was gonna survive this, and he was just immediately covering his own ass.
Is the man retarded?
Shouldn't use that word, but sure.
Developmentally disabled?
Sure.
To think that he is going to go to the Clippers where they have Kawhi Leonard as the number one option, Paul George is the number two, and still Russell Westbrook there, and think that he's going to...
Now, in a situation like this, you gotta immediately just pay no attention to it and apologize tomorrow if necessary. Just ignore it, move on, don't Streisand affect this. But no, Nick hits him with like the worst response he could possibly give Brew. Just something as simple as saying, Well, I wouldn't use that word, but sure. Just immediately distancing himself from Brew's mistake, saying clear as day to the camera, well, you really shouldn't have said that. But like, what's even funnier is he doesn't even necessarily disagree with Brew. Like, he's like, but sure, you know, like he didn't want him to say it, but like everyone's thinking it, you know? And Brew just has to backpedal off of it immediately, but still doubling down. You know, he goes, developmentally disabled, like, yeah, really making it better. Yep. But Nick Wright isn't even done yet. Like, the torture is just beginning.
And still Russell Westbrook there and think that he's going to shoot 25 times a night.
Listen, I didn't know what you were going to say today. I'm shocked. This is not going to work.
It's like the fakest immediate outrage I've ever seen in my life. But I'm shocked. I did not know you were going to say this. Just keep fucking rubbing it in, Nick. Yeah, I'm sure he's loving it.
Listen, I didn't know what you were going to say today. I'm shocked. This is not going to work. What's going on?
Let me apologize for using that word.
Oh.
I have my first cousin. We just put him to. He died a few months ago, a month or two ago. He was developmentally disabled, so I didn't mean to use that word.
Of course, I
apologize to the audience.
That's very kind of you.
Dude is just totally breaking down, absolutely cracking under the pressure he's put on himself. He seriously pulled the ableist version of, I have black friends, I swear. Like, that's what you fucking tell them? I have a cousin. We just put him to... Anyway, he's developmentally disabled. He died recently. I swear he was about to say, we put him to sleep. Like, they're putting him down like an animal. But, like, he caught himself, at least on that one. Just an absolutely gut-wrenching betrayal. It's like, you think you know your friends, except just wait until you really need them. Wait until you're in some real shit. You'll find out who your true friends are. And Wilds is just sitting back in the middle, you know, raising his eyebrow like The Rock. He wants no part of this. He's just frozen like a deer in headlights, which is no surprise. Wilds is the golden retriever of the show. I think this video is such a classic. The reason I was checking it out today is because I got reminded of it because recently a streamer on Twitter was getting canceled because he said the retard word in the middle of a podcast he was on. And I thought that was pretty ridiculous too. There's a lot of absurd tweets shooting off about that. This is like the ultimate slip up though, and an even more brutal betrayal that followed it. Not too much ended up happening after this whole situation. It was pretty much almost immediately over and done with. The next day, Brew would take a moment at the start of the show to issue an apology, and I watched it when it first aired, although I think this has been scrubbed from the internet as well. I seriously could not find it anywhere. They really don't want any of this to be known. This is like lost media over here, you know, like the lost episode of fucking SpongeBob SquarePants from back in the day. All in all, I understand that this is a divisive word. It's sort of on the fringes of the mainstream these days. I understand why you wouldn't want to say this on TV, especially when the networks rely on advertisers way more heavily than any other sort of platform. To get lucrative advertising deals on TV, you need to be a little more squeaky clean. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think the retard word is going anywhere anytime soon. Like, the fact of the matter is, before the term mental retardation was created, people used to refer to mental disability as, you know, morons or idiots. And then those terms started to become slang and derogatory. So they come up with the new term mental retardation, and that's what created the birth of retard. And as far as I understand, they basically just stopped changing the name up after that. They realized that whatever they want to call mentally disabled people, it's going to get turned into a derogatory slur. There's just no escaping it. Like, technically speaking, Brew could have called him a moron, and 100 years ago, that would have meant exactly the same thing. But for whatever reason, you know, new patch drops, now we all call it mental retardation. And since that's the official term that's used these days, it's the new biggest and baddest derogatory comment. And I just think it's all stupid. I mean, to a certain extent, certain words shouldn't be said out of respect to certain communities. But I feel like this word in particular is much more largely disconnected from the actual group of people it supposedly demeans. Like, the retard word, largely speaking, is reserved for people whose actions go beyond just simply stupid, is my best way to describe it. Like, not too long ago, I was talking in Discord with my friends, and our friend Jamie unironically said the word epitome when he meant to say epitome. And I shit you not, our friend Zach, who was in the middle of frying up a steak and cheese sandwich on the stove, unmuted his mic just to call Jamie retarded, because sometimes there's no other way to put it, you know? Our friend was out there in the world unironically using the word epitome, and nobody had the heart to call him out for it. If we didn't step in and put an end to that, he would have kept making a fool of himself for God knows how long. In the end, I don't believe it's truly like hateful or in poor taste to simply use the word. I think it's hateful and in poor taste to actually demean and be degrading towards people who are mentally handicapped. Like, simply using this word in a sentence is not nearly as bad as somebody who would go out of their way to like bully or harm someone who's mentally handicapped. And to bully or harm someone like that, you don't even need to use this word. Like all things, I think intent is truly what matters here. And obviously, Chris Brousard, anyone else who uses this word, they don't intend to like outright demean people who are mentally disabled. More than anything, it's a figure of speech that they direct towards certain people or situations that frankly just go beyond stupid. And it's a word that just rolls off the tongue nicely, you know, it's catchy. And I just feel like most people understand this. Like, there's obviously a lot of people out there these days who think that they're better than other people because they don't use certain words. But I feel like the culture has firmly drawn the line on this word. It's too universally applicable. It's too palatable for the English-speaking population of the planet. And I just think it's fucking hilarious how shocked and appalled Nick Wright pretended to be, just absolutely cucking his friend Brousard in front of the whole world.